Wherever there is human suffering, humanitarian aid workers are striving to alleviate hardship and pain. Humanitarian operations coordinated by the United Nations provided life-saving aid to more than 140 million people last year. Aid workers, mostly national staff serving their own communities, persevered despite brutal violence. They continued their efforts to overcome all obstacles to supporting people in need in the face of severe funding shortages. On World Humanitarian Day, we once again salute their courage, their determination and their service to humanity. And we recognize that honoring aid workers is not enough. 2023 was the deadliest year on record for humanitarian personnel. In Gaza, in Sudan and many other places, humanitarian workers are being attacked, killed, injured and abducted alongside the civilians they support. Disinformation campaigns spread lies that cost lives. International humanitarian law, the law that protects civilians during wartime, is being ignored and trampled. A climate of impunity means perpetrators do not fear justice. This is a failure of humanity, responsibility and leadership. On World Humanitarian Day, we demand an end to attacks on humanitarians and on all civilians. We demand that governments put pressure on all parties to conflict to protect civilians. We demand an end to arms transfers to armies and groups that violate international law. We demand an end to impunity so that perpetrators face justice. Celebrating humanitarians is not enough. We must all do more to protect and safeguard our common humanity.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is Diplomatic Corner coming to you from AMN. I am Alin Temiskin with the program. As you know, World Humanitarian Day is observed every year, and to mark the day, I am here with a guest to talk about humanitarian diplomacy. So don't go away and enjoy the program. Thank you so much indeed for your time, and take a time to make introduction of yourself and the organization that you work for.
Yeah, thank you very much for Addis Media Network for coming to our office and having this stay with you. So my name is Girma Mente. I work as a country director for Third Zones in Ethiopia. So Third Zones is a global humanitarian and development organization that is working to end child exploitation worldwide. Third Zones Netherlands was established in 1960, and we are supporting children worldwide to stop, to protect children from all forms of child exploitation.
That's great. And as you know, we are just marking World Humanitarian Day. So before discussing some of the issues in details, I just want to know what are the characteristics of humanitarian crisis and how its impact on humanity can be described.
Yeah, so humanitarian crisis, as you know, is now everywhere in the world. So some of the characteristics of a humanitarian crisis are first displacement. There is displacement. There are man-made and natural crises going on in the world, including Ethiopia. So whenever there is humanitarian crisis, there is a displacement. There is abandoning of infrastructures and the people breakdown of basic services, service provision and so on. So humanitarian crises are characterized by movement of people from one place, displacement and so on. So it is, thank you.
Tell us the challenges that the humanitarian organizations, including your organization, could possibly encounter in humanitarian emergencies. By the time you are just trying to help assist those in crisis, what are the challenges that you are facing?
So, as you know, when you are working within the humanitarian crisis, there are some challenges that we face. First of all, we face access and security. As you know, whenever a crisis happens, the first thing that comes as a challenge is accessing the area or having security to deliver humanitarian support. So that's one thing when we speak about access and security. As you know, sometimes it could be conflict or natural disaster. So reaching out to the affected population could be hindered by security. And so that is one, security and access. The other is on collaboration and partnership on service providers. As you know, sometimes when a crisis happens, it's difficult to get immediate cooperation and collaboration between partners. So that is another challenge. And of course, the other challenge is on resource mobilization. Whenever a crisis happens, the first thing that comes as a challenge is lack of finance or resource. So that is also another challenge. The other one is also, of course, again, the breakdown of infrastructures, including local government systems and so on, sometimes might happen. So that may also create a challenge in providing. Probably another one is on markets. When I say market, it's about logistics and also providing humanitarian support. Sometimes it's difficult to transport and also procure essentials that we use for providing humanitarian crisis. So that could also go with logistics again and safety.
How are you observing the global political tensions, happening around the globe, and exacerbating, deteriorating the situation, humanitarian activities?
Yeah, as you know, the situation we are in at the moment is very difficult. You see crisis going on worldwide, from Europe to Middle East, Asia, and Latin America. There are crises, conflicts going on. For example, we are providing humanitarian support in the Middle East, in Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, and of course in Afghanistan and also in Ukraine. So all these are as a result of tensions between governments in those areas. So for us, I think the political commitment or political will is playing maybe a significant role for the crises that are going on worldwide.
And the reason why we're here with you is to discuss primarily humanitarian diplomacy, because the program is all about diplomacy. Is a program where diplomatic issues and bilateral relations and some other related topics are discussed with guests. And as you know, humanitarian diplomacy is the main element that you deploy, and to accelerate your mission, right? So let's talk about the nature of humanitarian diplomacy and how it is deployed.
So I think humanitarian diplomacy may be reflected on the relationship between probably the West and probably developing countries. So as I see, I think the humanitarian diplomacy is based on collaboration and negotiation, and we see humanitarian support are also coming to different parts of the world. For example, for third zones, most of our support come from the Netherlands government, from Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So this also indicates that there is a positive humanitarian diplomacy between the Netherlands government and Ethiopia, where more aid is coming in, and also we are also using the financial support from the Dutch government to support those in need in Ethiopia in different parts of the country.
Whenever there is war, humanitarian organizations are not allowed to enter and assist those people, especially children and women who are in crisis. So how can you try to have humanitarian truce from the conflicting parties?
One of our philosophy at Third Zones, we believe in localization of aid. So when I say localization of aids, in areas that are probably inaccessible at a time of humanitarian crisis, we rely on local structures and support local organizations. Currently, we work with 5 national organizations in Ethiopia. So we don't try ourselves to go to some of the areas. We look for local structures that are existing in the crisis areas. So we work on building their capacities and providing resources so that they are able to provide the support as needed. Having said that, and again, of course, there are internationally agreed core humanitarian standards that you should follow when you are working within the humanitarian setting. So I think it is always good to hear what is happening on the ground before you start intervening. So for me, providing humanitarian crisis is not like doing confrontational. It is not like providing services in confrontational ways. So you have to abide with what is going on the ground, and also maybe assess the situation before even starting the intervention.
So, I just want you to tell me, on top of what you just said, don't you think that it is, the diplomacy all world countries are, employing to interact with, one another is somehow weak or unfunctional? That's why we hear wars and disputes, around the globe. So, causing tremendous challenge for humanitarian agencies like yours.
For us, because we are engaged in humanitarian work, so we always make sure that our work is appreciated by government, by communities, by children we are supporting. So for us, it is not, we don't engage our service in any political related issues. So we focus on delivering humanitarian services for saving lives of those who need our support. So our mission is based on not interfering with any political relationship or any diplomatic relationship between different countries. For us,
but the political situation is affecting you.
Yes, yes. Of course, sometimes it affects, but still there are also ways of negotiating with the political sphere. For example, when there is a conflict, for example, there is a conflict in some of the areas that we implement our programs at the moment. Access is denied sometimes, but we also assess the situation on the ground. And we don't confront with any parties or any people engaged in the politics. So we wait for the time for us to safely provide our humanitarian intervention. Otherwise, it is not like confronting with any politics or with any relationship with any government. So yeah.
So before jumping up towards the work, the activities your organization is working currently, I just want you to tell me the critical moment in time when your organization was obliged to use diplomacy to successfully carry out your humanitarian responsibility.
I don't consider that like a big diplomacy, but wherever you implement your programs in different parts of where humanitarian crisis is happening. For example, we have a program that we are now delivering for some of the zones in Amhara region, for example, in Ethiopia, North Wollo zone and Wagamra zone. There are ongoing projects. Sometimes you negotiate with local community structures, with religious leaders, also with communities and children. That is for us like a big diplomacy. We don't take diplomacy at higher level. For us, we are humanitarian organizations, so we deal with the local situations. We talk to communities, we talk to children, we talk to community-based structure. So that could be like for us like low-level diplomacy, but it works. So that is how we are providing our support to those people in need in those areas.
Let's go to the activities your organization works on. Your organization works on child exploitation.
Yes.
And can you please provide an overview of the issue of child exploitation in humanitarian emergencies?
Yeah, so as I earlier said, so whenever humanitarian crisis or humanitarian emergencies happens, as I said, there are people are exposed to different situations. So when we look at the situation of children in humanitarian setting, the first thing that comes is displacement. So whenever displacement happens, children are exposed to different forms of exploitation. That includes child sexual exploitation, child marriage, and also child labor. So these are some of the key forms of exploitations. Of course, there are also reports in some parts of the globe where children are also recruited in armed conflict. But for us in Ethiopia, the main forms of child exploitation are child labor, child marriage, and also we have a program that is providing support to drought-affected areas in Oromia, in Moyale area. So we have seen that children are also exposed to different forms of exploitation, including child labor.
What are the underlying causes of child exploitation in humanitarian crisis, and what impact does this have on children in Ethiopia?
Yeah, so there are some key factors that are causing children to be exposed to different forms of exploitation. The first one is, as you know, when crisis happens, the first thing that is affected is the social structure, family breakdown, the systems, and protection issues get depleted. What does that mean? For example, when displacement happens, there could be like children. Unaccompanied children or separated children from their parents, so these children are vulnerable to exploitation. So one is the breakdown of social systems, that is a family breakdown, community structures, and the other is whenever a humanitarian case happens, basic infrastructures are damaged, like it could be schools or health facilities and so on. Whenever these basic services are damaged, those children are exposed to different forms of exploitation. They have to survive. And the other driving factor is poverty. As you know, whenever crisis happens, household economy gets depleted, so children especially get to work on different forms, so they get exposed to those forms of exploitations. Again, within humanitarian crisis, in most cases, the legal system also gets weakened. For example, when an infrastructure, it could be like the government officers get so whenever displacement happens, the local system gets also, they are not functioning anymore, so that also leads to children get exploited in the humanitarian setting.
All right, so let's talk about the key interventions which your organization has implemented so far and the successes it has achieved in this regard in combating child exploitation. Tell us in connection with the Ethiopian Joint Response Project activities.
So Third Zones has been working to provide support for children exposed to different forms of exploitation within the humanitarian setting for years and years now. And currently we have a program, a big program called Ethiopia Joint Response Program that runs for the coming 3 years. So this is a program supported by Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it is a consortium project that we implement with other international and local organizations. So the basic purpose of this program is to provide life-saving support for children affected by different crises, including conflict and drought. Our program is being implemented in the two regions, Amara and Oromia, in the conflict-affected areas and drought-affected areas. So some of the key activities we undertake under this program includes one, we provide individual protection assistance for those children and families who actually need immediate support. So we deploy case workers, social workers, and we identify case core problems, and then we provide individual protection assistance. On the other hand, we also support the families and communities through providing multi-purpose cash provision. So this multi-purpose cash provision is provided to householders that need actually immediate support. So this is provided on monthly basis for consecutive 3 months as per the cash working group guideline from both Amara and Oromia. And again, we also work on strengthening the child protection structures on the ground, meaning we support the local structures, including the police and other government offices, so that they also support children to be protected from all forms of exploitation. We also support community structures, including community-based organizations. It could be like religious leaders, community elders, and community-based organizations, including like elders. So we make sure that their capacity is enhanced so that they also support children. So these are some of the key activities. And in doing so, we also make sure that our support are localized. where we focus on localizing local and national organizations. So we believe in strengthening the local partners.
I just want to know the reaction of the government, Ethiopian government, towards your activities here in Ethiopia, because it is the obligation of the government and all stakeholders to work with you, with your organization, in fighting child exploitation, right? So how do you observe the reaction of the government?
So for me, I think the reaction from the Ethiopian government is very positive. I can mention some of the things why I say positive. For example, whenever we start a program, we sign an agreement with concerned government offices, and they are very positive in reviewing and appraising our proposals, and also we jointly develop proposals with sectoral government offices. So they are actually one of our strong stakeholders in implementing our programs. Wherever we do any activities, we involve government from regional to Kabali level or ward and zones. They are with us. And in some of the areas, they even provide us office spaces, I can say, and also even sometimes contribution of resources. For example, there are government experts that are providing training on child protection in our operational area. So in general, I can say government is very supportive for our programs, our implementation of projects, and also they do regular monitoring to our programs, which is very positive in exchange of feedback, and so it is very, very appreciated. So it's very appreciative.
We are now marking World Humanitarian Day. So what kind of message do you have to the people of the world?
Yeah, so as we mark the World Humanitarian Day on the 19th of August, so I think for me, still for us, I think one of the critical things we should look into is there are so many children that are in need of humanitarian support worldwide, and including Ethiopia. So I think I convey a message on asking for partnership and collaboration between different actors. And I also say I think we should move beyond providing life-saving support and look into probably the root causes of the crisis, and maybe provide any support that is expected of us. So it is not just because we have to go beyond just life-saving provision or just providing humanitarian support. We have to look into sustainable ways of the program delivery. So in that regard, I think I call upon partnership and collaboration on one hand, and also probably maybe working on systemic change and bringing any on working on peace building, and also maybe working on protecting the environment, because these are some of the key causes for the humanitarian crisis worldwide.
Something, is striking my mind to ask you that there are in so many international and local humanitarian organizations residing here. Do you believe that all of them have successfully implemented or achieved their missions, or are they doing in a way they are expected?
I say yes, because looking into the humanitarian needs in the country and the number of organizations existing in the country, it seems they are huge in number, but they are not even sufficient, because we still feel that people in the hard to reach areas are still suffering. And that shows that I think more humanitarian actors are needed in this country. So all the humanitarian actors, whether they are international or local in this country, are, I think, doing their best, because they have their programs and they are working with government, with local communities. So they are doing a good job. So I think they are on track.
What is your goal?
Our goal is to end child exploitation worldwide. This is the big goal for third zones. So even in Ethiopia, our purpose for existing here is to stop or prevent child exploitation, and also empower children so that they become protectors of their own rights.
So have you already put a time frame when you just end child exploitation?
Yes. So the current strategic plan for third zone trans for the period 2023 to 2030. So we are saying by 2030 we at least prevent child exploitation worldwide, and also import children in areas where we are operating. So in doing so, we are implementing different projects and programs, and these projects and programs have already brought positive change among empowering the children, and also improving household income, and also supporting the local child protection structures. So I believe we are on track, and we are also monitoring our progress as we go.
Thank you so much indeed for your time, and it is really our pleasure you to be in our program.
Thank you very much for coming and having. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Well, viewers, that is all we have for today. Until we come up with other guests next week, many thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.